Hello, this is my epic Gummigoo is the NPC theory. Other people have done this back when the 5th episode came out, a bit after that. I guess I watched the video and I was like, hey, I guess this is kind of cool. And it's one of the few theories I properly hold on to, because I guess it was interesting to me. And the more I've thought about it, I feel like I could make my own little video, because I felt like more could be said about it since then, and it has been pointed out, but I do feel like it needs to be in video form properly. And this is the final moment I could feel like I can actually make this video. I wanted to make it for a while, but now with the 7th episode is coming out, so I have to make this now. Okay, so just to summarize that original video, after getting snapped, he loses his base form, and he gets the placeholder mannequin form. And we know that this is like a placeholder base model. We see it on the background characters and the icons on the doors. So this is like a placeholder, which explains why he became that of all things and not like some other random NPC. He's been in the circus spying on the residents and Caine. The theory claims is that he's taking notes of Caine's behavior to try to figure something out with him, because someone could very much just push Caine over the side. So his motivation here would be to free himself and free the other residents of the circus, along with making Caine go cuckoo. The other NPCs might as well be other deleted NPCs, and I'll get back to that later. The motivation, I don't know. It could be anything, but I think that's what works the most, but I just like the idea of it being Gummigoo, so it could go anyway. But like I said, we got the new trailers, and the mannequin shows up there. That's, you know, kind of menacingly. We see him do the thing he's known for. We see him do the thing where he like turns around and looks around the corner. You know, it's the thing that he's known for. So I don't think this one in particular, this screenshot here, is like a flashback, just all of a sudden. If this is like a place this NPC has been for ages, then I think they would have just walked around the corner normally instead of looked around. Okay, that's it. Now we're gonna get into the stuff that I felt was kind of left out in that original video. This NPC starts showing up after episode 2, where Gummigoo got poofed. Gummigoo explodes. And then this NPC just starts showing up mysteriously. So this NPC shows up in all the previous episodes. You've probably seen this. This is from episode 3 through 5. Just as an Easter egg in episode 3 hiding in the background. You can see it right here. Also in episode 4, right here. And at the start of episode 5, we do see Pomni spot the NPC. And I think... now, it being Pomni spotting the NPC is important, because then we're kind of reinforcing this Pomni-Gummigoo dynamic, it being characters that will interact with each other more. And yet again, at the end of the episode, we see the NPC clear as day. We know it's up to something. Like I said, just like this NPC showing up out of nowhere after episode 2 when Gummigoo poofed, it's interesting, you know? Though you do have Gummigoo in episode 4. I think this is just a different object using his model. You know, sprites. Sprites are not like the same as like an object. Like object is like where the coding is, and then an object can use like a specific sprite in regards to 2D. I don't know how it is for 3D, but that's how it works in this case, you know? So this isn't the Gummigoo, so that's how it still works with the timeline. It also helps reinforcing him as a character. It also helps the eventual reveal not feel like they're undoing his death, because they've already done it before, and naturally too. So it's not gonna be like a poopy trope, like a bad execution of someone secretly not being dead all along. Another thing I want to say here, the thing that was brought up in the original theory was that what they said was that the other placeholder NPCs might be deleted NPCs from other adventures. That could also be the case, and even just for Gummigoo, even if it isn't the case for the other NPCs, him not being fully deleted and just becoming like a mannequin instead. That's pretty similar to how files being deleted works for computers. Because when a file is deleted from a computer, it marks the space that the file occupies as available to be rewritten. It isn't deleted, it is just placeholder. Just like the mannequin. This is kind of interesting because, it kind of plays into like how computers work. Caine is like an AI, and then you have this stuff, it's like I said, we already have the mannequins being used as like placeholders. And this NPC not being Gummigoo, which fits with the computer theme. So this is just more of that. Okay, so the next thing is, this one's kind of interesting. This is one of the first thing I took note of. Not when the episode came out, but when I started thinking of the theory. Why the merch? Why does this seemingly one-off character have this much merch? If he's gonna have this minor of an appearance, if he's just an NPC that's gonna be thrown away, why does he have this much merch? Just as much as like a mainstay character. No other NPC has this much merch. Other NPCs might be included in merch of Gummigoo, but not individually. The only other one that really exists is for the angel that shows up in episode 3. But that's like one single plushie. And then there's the financial side of things. It makes more sense to make merch out of a character that's like important, who's gonna have like a presence. Because that will be a character more people will care about in the long term. So with this in mind, I feel like he is going to be a character, a proper full character in the show. Okay, so you could argue that there are some thematic failings with this theory. Because, with episode 4 can be seen as, like, this final goodbye, And I guess it works, Palmy is able to properly say goodbye to Gummigoo after, he gets poofed just out of the blue by Caine, It is kind of left up and ended, but, it's Palmy getting used to how the circus works and stuff. But, here's the thing, it could very much subvert that. It has already been subverting stuff with this show. The entire setup of the show has been set up in such a way that it's been set up to then subvert the formula. We started with episode 1 and 2. They're there just to set up and reinforce the formula of like wacky, fun, fantastical adventures. That's what it's for. And then episode 3 is like a slight departure from it. It's still fantastical, but it's like, instead of being wacky, it's all scary. But it's not that big of a departure that you'll notice it. In a way, it's also kinda reinforcing the formula too, because it's not so different. And then episode 4 is a full-on departure. It's not fantastical, or nor is it really wacky. It's the concept is that they're working on a fast food chain. And then episode 5 is like, instead of doing one full adventure, it's like a gazillion adventures all at once because Caine is running out of ideas. It's going further with like not doing a typical episode with like one straightforward adventure. What episode 7 says it's gonna be is like a beach adventure. And by beach adventure, it means like, oh, no adventure. You're just gonna have fun at the beach doing nothing, So through episode 5 or 7, we see Caine like giving up more and more with like making adventures because episode 6 is like a lazy thrown together adventure. So this formula of like wacky adventures, fun cartoons has already been subverted. You have these wacky characters in these wacky adventures, and you don't have to think much about it. They're just NPCs and some real people who are just really stereotypical. As the show goes on, it kinda shows more to each character more, instead of just the archetype that we see of them in episode 1. It goes further with that in episode 6 especially. It properly addresses like an issue I had with the show, and it was like the premise itself. Because I felt like I couldn't really properly care if no matter what they do, it doesn't really matter what happens in the circus, you could just be like Jax and just hurt all the NPCs, or like Zooble, not barely going on the adventures, And I felt like that got addressed in episode 6, We have someone like Jax being like, hey, none of this really matters, and then we have like Zooble and Kinger being like, hey, you're real people, you gotta remember that. Even if you're in this digital world, you matter. Ching. And to wrap it all back around to the Gummigoo theory, one of the issues that I mentioned here is that you can just hurt all the NPCs because it doesn't matter, because they're just gonna be gone after the adventure. But with this theory, it won't. it comes back to bite you in the butt. So stuff will matter, and it will mean something. And I feel like that would actually be better for the show, to subvert the premise like this. Gummigoo gets to become more real. That was like the motivation I mentioned. He wanted to free himself and everyone else, probably. Or that's what the original theory. That's what the original video proposed. And we do have the song name, Somebody Real. When Pomni and Gummigoo are shooting themselves up in the air back to the overworld in episode 2, the track Somebody Real plays. And this melody in the song shows up in episode 3, episode 4, and episode 6 as like a reoccurring leitmotif. When Kinger is talking to Pomni about how you gotta be there for people and stuff, and when Gangle is strumming off her mask, feeling a bit better about herself, when Kinger is talking to Ragatha after she lost. Why is that track called Somebody Real? Is this like a supposed leitmotif for Gummigoo? Why is this melody that first played under a scene with Gummigoo called Somebody Real? He's just an NPC. This melody plays when characters are reminded that they are somebody real. It's on the nose, so yeah, that's epic thematic analysis. You know, Pomni had like a strong relationship with Jax and Gummigoo. And I guess Gummigoo would be like a thematic opposite to Jax or something, you know? Jax is like doing the complete opposite of trying to be somebody real. He just wants everyone to be archetypes. He's just purposely putting himself in the spot where he could abstract. When you're reducing a person to just an archetype, you're making it abstract. And now we see the door appear out of nowhere, just like it did with Kaufmo. So there's a high chance that he's gonna go through the process of abstracting or almost abstracting or whatever. Yeah, epic thematic analysis or something. Okay, so does the new trailer, though, do anything with the theory? Not necessarily. I don't think it debunked it or really like reinforced it completely. It's just like, hey, if the theory ends up true, then whatever was shown in the trailer works with the theory. That's what I think. We do get it like a screenshot of the NPC acting menacingly. I do like how the NPC is kind of freaky, like from all of the appearances that we've seen. So I feel like it just being Gummigoo, I don't know, kind of takes away from the freaky factor. With it being a little scary. But, you know, it has to be revealed at some point. It could be evil Gummigoo, you never know. I don't know. I saw someone suggest that this NPC with the dream smile is a different NPC, and you could draw in, like, the other NPCs also aren't deleted theory in here. And there's also another theory. Digital Circus, and it's that there is going to be an NPC uprising. We might get other NPCs going against Caine or whatever, and Gummigoo is just one that'll try to be more nice with, you know, the humans. Who knows? But I do want to point this out. This is something I noticed, and I just kind of have to talk about it. So I think the NPC will screw with Caine at the diner. This is definitely now just put in stone, so if it is Gummigoo, that is like the motivation probably to mess with Caine. Like, as you can see right here, in the first episode of The Amazing Digital Circus, we in one part we see Caine at like a diner with like a bunch of other mannequins. The NPC has the perfect cover. Everyone else is also a mannequin. So the rogue NPC is not gonna be noticed by Caine. We have the same exact background objects with like the wall and plant, the same textures and everything. And you know, we have the table and the plates. This is very much the same location. The rogue NPC has the chance to screw with Caine even more. And I think it's already been done before, obviously, you know. I don't think this is the first time. I don't think what I'm showing right here is the first time, but I have this little theory I want to throw in here that the NPC was messing around with the votes. You know, this is where I bring in the Gummigoo thing, but Gummigoo took whatever stars Caine got, just put them over to Pomni, you know? That's where he put them. That's where he put all of them. He wasn't necessarily trying to make Pomni win, but he just took them there to make Caine lose. It's just a random idea. Okay, this next one. The last thing we hear in the trailer is this mysterious voice that says, "I think I found the way." It's a male voice. It's a male voice. Some people have said like, "Oh, it's Kaufmo." Some people have said the NPC, which is cool. I think they are cool. I think I agree with them. I think that's honestly the easiest options to just go with. So I'm picking that. And this voice is a default voice. Just like how Gummigoo got turned into a mannequin as the placeholder skin, this is the placeholder voice. A generic voice. Okay, so besides this episode 7 trailer, we did get this sneak peek from episode 8 on Tumblr. And it was one random line of dialogue. It was, "It's you." And I think the full line will be, "It's you, Gummigoo." That's not really what I think the line is, but you know, it's a silly little meme, you know? What I'm saying is here, for real, though, is that this line could be related to the reveal. Or maybe it's not. You know, it could just be a bait and switch here. Out-of-context line to make it look like it is a reveal. Okay, I'm not like a super fan of Digital Circus. I'm like a casual viewer. I talk with it with my friends and stuff. But I'm not like in the fandom, so I'm like a casual viewer. But looking at some other theories I've seen, it just makes me go, why would I care about that? Because it leaves very little impact, I feel like. Because some of them are like, "Oh, the NPC is Abel." And all I can really think, who the hell is Abel? I know who Abel is. I know who it is supposed to be. It's like the other guy in the Caine and Abel company or whatever. But like, that's supposed to be a bubble, you know, a bubble, a Abel, whatever that pun is supposed to be, you know? And then we also have like, it's a human from the outside spying on the other humans, but like, wouldn't they have turned into like a cartoon character too? Why are they just an NPC? How are they able to do that? Same with Ribbit, we haven't seen her at all. I guess Kaufmo kind of works, you know? Like somehow Kaufmo turned into the NPC or whatever, because at least it's a character we have seen. The problem with like these theories is that we've barely seen these characters before their turnaround, or like at all with Abel. There's like no surprise or impact for the audience to have. So I feel like with Gummigoo, that's why I kind of care, because oh hey, it's a character I know. I kind of like that character. Gummigoo did all that? Damn, that's cool. That's raw. Peak aura farming words, you know? It recontextualizes these fun adventures we've had as like, oh hey, it wasn't just all filler, you know? And we've already had that. We've had Evil Pomni. That was foreshadowing to the very next episode of Pomni teaming up with Jax. So yeah. And I don't even want to mention this theory because it's dumb and weird. Anyways, that was it. That was the end of the PowerPoint. I do more unscripted ramblings, but I also think you should check out my main channel where I make scripted videos and music. Like this one video where I talk about this stupid AI channel with 3 million views that nobody has talked about. You should watch it because nobody has talked about it. It doesn't have enough views. I'm serious. It's posting AI music while I'm not getting any views on my music at all. It's annoying. Anyways, I hope you like this theory. Bye-bye. You look convoluted!